For centuries, people have been following cults and faith blindly. The idea of surrendering oneself to a higher power or charismatic leader can be alluring, but it can also be dangerous. From the People's Temple to the Branch Davidians, history is filled with examples of cults and their leaders exploiting the trust of their followers. The consequences of blind faith can be devastating, and it's a reminder of the importance of critical thinking and skepticism in our lives. Welcome to this insightful video. Subscribe for more videos like this and give us a thumbs up. People's Temple, Indianapolis, 1950. In the 1950s, Jim Jones founded the People's Temple in Indianapolis, which started as a Pentecostal church and quickly became known for its message of racial equality and social justice. The group attracted a diverse membership and continued to expand after moving to Northern California in the 1960s. Despite its focus on progressive causes, rumors circulated about the group's leader and his motives. Some claimed that Jones had supernatural abilities, while others suggested he had made a deal with the devil. In 1977, media reports exposed allegations of abuse within the group, and Jones responded by moving the group to Guyana in South America. It was there that the group established a commune called Jonestown. Things took a turn for the worse in November 1978 when Congressman Leo Ryan traveled to Guyana to investigate the group, accompanied by a group of journalists and concerned relatives. Members of the People's Temple attacked them as they were preparing to leave, killing Ryan and several others. Jones then ordered his followers to commit a mass suicide by drinking cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. Over 900 people died, including Jones and over 200 children. To this day, the Jonestown Massacre remains a tragic and haunting event in American history, shrouded in mystery and speculation about the true motives behind the cult's leader and the reasons for the mass suicide. The Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments, Uganda, 1990. The Movement for the Restoration of the Ten Commandments was a religious cult that emerged in Uganda in the late 1990s. The group was led by a woman named Credonia Morinde and a former Roman Catholic priest named Joseph Kabweteri. They claimed to be preparing for the end of the world and promised their followers that they would be saved if they strictly followed the Ten Commandments. The group quickly gained a following and began to expand their influence throughout Uganda. They preached about the end of the world and encouraged their followers to sell their possessions and give the proceeds to the cult. They also emphasized strict adherence to the Ten Commandments and demanded that their followers live a life of prayer and fasting. As the group continued to grow, they became increasingly strict and controlling. Members were forced to wear specific colors of clothing and were not allowed to speak to anyone outside the group. They were also required to attend multiple church services each day, and any violation of the cult's rules was met with severe punishment. In 2000, the group's prophecies failed to materialize, and tensions within the cult began to rise. On March 17, 2000, over 500 members of the cult were found dead in a burnt-out church building in southwestern Uganda. It is believed that the cult leaders, including Morinde and Kabweteri, orchestrated the mass suicide and murder as a way to fulfill their prophecy and ascend to heaven. The tragic event shocked Uganda and drew international attention. In March of 1997, a startling discovery was made in a mansion located in the upscale community of Rancho Santa Fe, California. 39 people were found dead inside, all dressed in matching black outfits and Nike sneakers. They had consumed a lethal cocktail of phenobarbital and vodka, and many had plastic bags over their heads. As authorities investigated, they discovered that the deceased were members of a cult known as Heaven's Gate. Led by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, the group believed in the imminent arrival of a UFO which would transport them to a higher plane of existence. The cult had been preparing for this event for years, living in seclusion and eschewing many aspects of modern society. In the months leading up to their mass suicide, members had even made videos explaining their beliefs and justifying their actions. As news of the tragedy spread, the public was shocked and disturbed by the extent of the cult's devotion to their beliefs. Many questioned how seemingly normal people could become so deeply entrenched in a cult's ideology that they would willingly end their own lives. The story of Heaven's Gate remains a cautionary tale of the dangers of extremist beliefs and the allure of charismatic leaders. Despite the passage of time, the tragedy serves as a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise from blind faith. The Order of the Solar Temple, Europe, 1990. In the early 1990s, a mysterious organization known as the Order of the Solar Temple began to attract attention in Europe. The group claimed to be a spiritual movement dedicated to preserving the teachings of ancient religions and philosophies, and its members reportedly included wealthy and influential individuals from across the continent. Despite its lofty ideals, however, the order soon became embroiled in controversy. In 1994, 53 members of the group, including its founders Joseph de Mambro and Luc Jouret, were found dead in a mass murder-suicide in Switzerland. The victims had been drugged and shot or asphyxiated, and many were found with bags over their heads and strange symbols carved into their flesh. As investigators delved deeper into the order's activities, a disturbing picture began to emerge. Former members claimed that the group was actually a cult that demanded absolute obedience from its followers and engaged in bizarre rituals involving sex, drugs, and violence. They also alleged that the order had amassed a vast fortune through illegal activities such as money laundering and arms trafficking. Despite the tragedy in Switzerland, the Order of the Solar Temple continued to operate in other countries, including Canada, where it carried out several more murders and mass suicides in the late 1990s. The group's leaders insisted that their actions were necessary to achieve spiritual transcendence and prepare for the coming apocalypse, but many saw them as nothing more than delusional and dangerous fanatics. Branch Davidian Sect, Waco, Texas, February 28, 1993. On February 28, 1993, agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, attempted to execute a search warrant at the Mount Carmel Center, the headquarters of the Branch Davidian Sect in Waco, Texas. The Davidians were led by David Koresh, a self-proclaimed messiah who preached an apocalyptic interpretation of the Bible. Koresh and his followers believed that the end of the world was near, and that they would be the only ones to survive. The ATF raid turned into a violent shootout, leaving 4 agents and 6 Davidians dead. The FBI then took over the siege, which lasted for 51 days. Negotiations were attempted, but eventually the FBI decided to launch an assault on the compound on April 19, 1993. The assault began with the use of tear gas, but the compound caught fire shortly after. The fire resulted in the deaths of 76 Davidians, including 25 children. Koresh himself was among the dead. The events at Waco remain controversial and are still debated to this day.